One of the biggest questions that van lifers get asked is, what do you do if you get really, really ill while you're living in your van? Well, I live that reality, battling breast cancer while living in a van. It wasn't easy, but I found ways to adapt. From managing my treatments on the road to staying strong on the roughest days. In this video, I'm sharing the raw truth about what it's really like to survive illness in a van, and how I, along with my husband, made it work. If you've ever wondered how to keep going when life throws its hardest punches, stick around, because this is my story. Hi, I'm Dion, one half of Van Andrews, Chris and Dion. Imagine going through chemo, surgery, and radiation, all whilst living in a van. This was my reality between June 2023 and October 2024. I tackled chemotherapy while on the road, followed by a lumpectomy and 2 weeks of radiation. Then I had about 6 months of chemo injections just to keep the cancer at bay. It was not easy, but I learned a lot along the way. So today I'm going to share my ways that I dealt with health issues whilst living in a van. So today I'm sharing my best tips, the best tips I could come up with for dealing with health issues whilst living in a van. Trust me, it is possible to keep going. Tip number 1, keep your mindset bright. Staying positive is not always easy, but trust me, it makes a huge difference. One thing that really helped me was keeping my days full of laughter and comedy. I stuck to light, funny shows, and I avoided dark or negative social media completely. We also transformed our van. It's a little oasis with loads of bright and natural decorations. It made such a difference to wake up to bright, cheerful decorations and surroundings. And when it came to food, I had zero appetite. I let go of all my worries about dieting. We stocked up on my favorite foods, especially ice cream. My focus was getting on with the treatment. Whatever lifts your mood, lean into it. Tip number 2, stay on a campsite. Treat yourself. Van life is all about adventure, but when you're going through treatment, the last thing that you want is to worry about where you're going to stay every night. That's why we decided to spoil ourselves and stay on campsites. It gave us stability and easy access to the hospital. It also gave us the comfort of having showers, toilets, water, all nearby. We found a spot just outside of town, making getting to appointments so much easier. Using apps like Search for Sites and pitchup.com, we found a place just outside of town. This really made it easy for us to get to our appointments. We tracked down affordable campsites, and we would book in for about a month, sometimes 2 months, occasionally 3 months. And honestly, even with pitching fees, including electricity, we were still spending way less than we did on a mortgage, bills, council tax. So if you are facing health issues on the road, give yourself the gift of stability. It really is worth it. Tip number 3, get yourself a cheap runaround car. It really is a game changer. If packing up your motorhome every time you need to get groceries or head to an appointment feels like a hassle, trust me, I get it. That's why we invested in a small, inexpensive runaround car. Not only did it save us time and effort, but it also made things so much easier. Not only did it save us time and effort, but it also gave us a lot more freedom. On days when I felt up to it, we could explore our beautiful surroundings and not worry about having to constantly pack up the van. Plus, with this new flexibility, we were able to stay about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from the hospital. We could still make it to hospital appointments, but we had lots of time to investigate all the beautiful parts that we stayed in. I know getting another car, it's a big expense. That's why we went for a small, economical car. And in our experiences, all the campsites we stayed on allowed you to have a motorhome and an extra car. It really was totally worth it. And now tip number 4. Make sure you always have an emergency fund, or you are saving a bit while you're on the road. You'll thank yourself later. Before you hit the road, make sure you have a small pot of emergency funds. Some might see staying on a campsite as a luxury, but trust me, there are some small, economical campsites that can be found. They offer the comfort and the luxury that you might need if you're going through any tough times. And beyond that, you might actually find you need a little bit more luxury, and you might need a night or two in a hotel. For most of my treatment, the van was my safe place. It had everything that I needed at hand, very close by. I had a toilet, I had a shower, I have the fridge, we have a cooker, everything that you need. And believe me, there were days when I couldn't bear stepping out of the van. But there were moments, especially after a chemo treatment, when I really felt like I needed a big, giant, fluffy bed. I needed a flushing toilet. I wanted running hot water. I got extremely exhausted after my chemo treatments. So over the course of my treatment, we spent about 7 nights in a hotel room. I just needed that luxury. I needed the non-worry. We would pack up snacks and take them with us again, so I wasn't going to step outside of the hotel room either. And that made a big difference to my recovery. And even if we didn't use motels or hotels every time I felt really exhausted, it was just nice to know that I really did have that option if I needed it. Having that option gave me the breathing space to heal and get better. And we love our van, so most of the time this is where I wanted to be. So whether it's for a campsite or a well-deserved night in a hotel, it's definitely worth it to have that little backup so you know you don't need to worry. And tip number 5, make life as easy as possible on yourself. When you're going through any kind of treatment, the last thing you need is stress. So make things as easy as possible as you can on yourself. I was very lucky because I have a partner, Chris, who lives in the van with me. So he took on most of the chores and responsibilities while I was ill. But even then, I had to simplify everything. Food, mostly fast, pre-prepared foods. That made it so easy. Sandwiches, and of course, a lot of ice cream. Washing up? Nope. We did use paper plates a lot, and paper towels. We can worry about the environment later. We're usually very conscious of that, but when you're ill, you don't need to be thinking about those sort of things. Just do what's easiest for you. Cooking? Only if I felt like it. Tidying up was not a priority at all. What did really matter was having a very comfortable bed with really cozy pillows and really comfortable blankets. I kept my medications in a box within reach, and I also kept water available within reach, bottled water mostly, sparkling and still flavored, which is my favorite. The little things that made life easier made all the difference. So don't be hard on yourself. Do anything you can do to make life a little bit easier on yourself. Tip number 6, you'll have good days and you'll have bad days, and that's okay. One thing I did learn is that no 2 days are the same. Some days I felt strong enough to go out, do a little bit of exploring, grab a coffee. Other days I barely had the energy to even get out of bed. And you know what? That's okay. Besides the sickness that chemo brings, the biggest problem I had was just sheer exhaustion. So when I did feel good, even if it was just for a couple of hours, I would try to get out and I would try to do things, explore, check out the local area. I tried to make the most of the days that I felt the strongest. But on the tough days, I did remind myself, this will pass. And of course there were moments I just wanted to cry. And I let myself, because sometimes that's exactly what you need. And the good days can outweigh the bad. And if you hold on to that thought, it can make all the difference. Final thoughts. Would it have been any different if I had been in a house? Honestly, I don't really think so. Living in a van came with its challenges, but it also had some incredible perks. We stayed on beautiful, nature-filled campsites. I could wake up in the morning to stunning views instead of city views. From my bed, I could watch the birds come into the bird feeder because we have that mounted bird feeder at the back. On sunny, warm days, I could go outside and sink my feet into the beautiful grass that surrounds all the campsites. I could just go outside and breathe, and it did feel like I was on a holiday, even during the hardest times. Did I miss indoor plumbing? Sure I did. Every now and then, of course I did. But being in peaceful rural environments really did make up for it. Plus, one underrated bonus, when you're on a campsite, you can walk around in your pajamas and no one cares. And of course, van life is not an option for some illnesses. If I'd needed crutches or if I had mobility issues, then this could be a completely different video. But for me, on the tough days, if I'd been in a house or if I were here in the van, it really wouldn't have made any difference. In the end, I do think van life gave me something that I really needed during my illness, and that was peace, being closer to nature, and just not worrying about even getting dressed for days on end. And finally, if you found this video useful or inspiring, then please give us a like and subscribe to watch our future travels. And if you've ever experienced illness whilst in your van or motorhome or caravan, we would love to hear from you. So please drop us a note in the comments. We'd love for you to share your story. We always love reading your comments and connecting with you. So thank you to everybody once again, all our subscribers, for leaving us comments, giving us likes, and subscribing to the channel and watching each week. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a good week. See you soon.